It's time to fire this thing up.
Welcome aboard ShipShape TV Essentials. This is your port of call for the most impactful upgrades, expert advice, and hands-on solutions from seasons past. This episode is proudly brought to you by SureHold, because anything worth doing is worth doing bright. From cleaning to protecting and perfecting, SureHold has everything you need to keep your boat shining. Don't just go boating, go showboating. Now, let's hoist anchor and set a course for another exciting episode of ShipShape TV Essentials.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. ShipShape is the way to be. Out on the lake or on the sea, ShipShape means trouble-free. ShipShape means being neater. ShipShape makes boat work easier. ShipShape is the way to go. The ShipShape Boat Care Show.
Welcome to America's favorite boat improvement show, ShipShape TV. I'm John Greviskis. It's good to have you working around the boat with us today. This is a stainless steel ratchet mount for our VHF antenna, and I'm looking for a place to mount it on our 1978 Stamets project boat. If you haven't guessed, today's show is about electronics. We're going to show you step-by-step procedures of how to mount a VHF radio, GPS, and a fish finder. We're also going to show you how to interface these different components. We have a very special guest with us today. His name is Ed Gunn from Boater's World, and he's going to show us some of our different options. Get ready for a couple more great ways to make your boat shipshape.
ShipShape, America's favorite boat improvement show, is being brought to you in part by
Brevard Boat Sales, Florida's East Coast Sea Ray dealer. And by WLRQ, Light Rock 99.3 FM. And by Stainless Marine, fly like an eagle with performance-proven products for every boat owner. And by Boater's World Discount Marine Centers, real low prices, guaranteed.
Nick, I've selected this area to mount our ratchet mount, and I'm wondering, what do you need a VHF radio for anyway?
There's a few key reasons why you'd want one, and a lot of people have taken that attitude, say, hey, I've got my cellular phone.
Exactly.
We're not going to bother with this VHF radio. And then they had this whole big stink with the licenses there for a while, and a lot of people shunned away from the VHFs. I got to say, bad. It is a key safety item on any boat that's going to go especially offshore or away from any other people or boats. You need to have instant Coast Guard access. You need to be able to get to the Coast Guard in an emergency situation. The VHF is the fastest way to do it. It also allows you to go boat to boat, that if you're past the range of the normal Coast Guard receiver, you may be able to get to another boat who can then get you to the Coast Guard, and you can relay.
Well, you've only got so much range on a cellular phone, too.
That's true.
Offshore, if it's a handheld unit, it's about 10 miles, and if you do a fixed mount kind of thing, you might get 13 or 15 miles.
Right, and you may travel, say, out of the country to the Bahamas or Bermuda or what have you, to an area in which there is no cellular service. So not having the VHF, you're really dead then.
We also have the weather implications on the radio. No, what do you have this? This is NOAA.
NOAA continually broadcasts weather information, and they have emergency broadcasts as well. If a fast-moving thunderstorm comes into an area, they're going to put out a weather bulletin. And the unit in which we chose for this boat, for a couple of reasons, and we'll get into that later, has an instant weather scan, which is going to let that bulletin come across. No matter what's going on with your radio, if you're listening to something else, you're going to hear that instant weather.
Excellent. We'll get us started on today's project.
All right. The location of the antenna is good on this boat. We didn't have too many choices. We could have tried to work it up to the top, but mounting it here where you did is going to give it access from the driver to lay it down in case of bridge or what have you. And we have one or two minor problems we have to deal with. One is we've got to get the wire into the boat, and the second is we've got to contend with this hardtop. So what I've done here is I've gone ahead and I've cut a wedge out.
Okay.
And I just used some starboard, easy to work with, sanded it down by hand, and made a wedge that's going to kick this out so the antenna runs straight up. So that part of
So it's not going to be rubbing up against the hardtop.
Yeah, it's not going to be bouncing against the hardtop.
A lot of hardtops and biminis and stuff, they're flared out to where an antenna, if you didn't have a wedge, would be doinking out and just looking kind of stupid.
And these are adjustable, but the way we mounted this, we pretty much had to go with a wedge, and it was relatively simple. The second problem which we're going to deal with here is getting the wire from the outside of the boat to the inside. And we chose a waterproof, I'm going to call it a coupler. And we're going to mount this on the boat, pass the wire through it, and then tighten down this outside ferrule and give us a waterproof seal. Now I've got all the pilot holes in. I'm going to take the ratchet and the wedge. We're going to put some 5200 in between the boat and the mount and make sure we get it in the screw, so when the screw goes in it carries 5200 in it as well.
Well, now we can mount our antenna, and we're using an 8-foot Shakespeare Galaxy, and it's one of the best antennas that you can get in its length. What's nice about it is, I don't know if you've ever had any of those antennas where the fiberglass comes off in your hands. Well, they put a special coating on the antenna to kind of help eliminate that. And it's a real good quality antenna. Now we'll pass the wire through the boat, and Nick's going to show us how to make a connection.
This is a standard PL259 VHF antenna coupler, and I've spliced the wire back to the recommended lengths. We're going to take and install the outer sleeve first onto the cable and slide it down. Then we're going to pull the outer grounding wire back and wrap it around the cable. We'll then take the main part of the coupler and we'll install the wire. We want to bring the center point of the wire through the coupler. That's your actual connection. The outside is the ground and this is your connection. I'll then take my soldering gun and I'll heat this up and allow the solder to make a good connection between the inner core and the outside. And then I'll also bring some solder down in through these holes and allow the ground wire to ground the outside as well. Right now we need to take a break, but stay around. When we come back, we're going to talk to Ed Gunn from Boaters World and get into some of the different GPSs and pick one out for this boat.
Here's what's coming up next on ShipShape TV.
We now return to ShipShape TV.
The SureHold One Bucket System is your storage and detailing solution, featuring an ergonomic corrosion-free rope handle, a bucket caddy to organize your supplies and lift them out with ease, a bucket grate to elevate your wash tools out of dirty water with integrated soap measuring cups, a bucket base that won't let your bucket scratch, tip, or slip, and a bucket lid that keeps tools secure and doubles as a comfortable seat. The SureHold One Bucket System, the world's best rope handle 5-gallon bucket. SureHold, clean and simple.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking about electronics today on ShipShape TV, and with us is a very special guest. His name is Ed Gunn, and he's with Boaters World. And Ed, you brought the Garmin line of GPSs out today, and I was hoping you could show us some of the different models that Garmin's putting out today.
Yes, John, over here we have handheld GPSs, and then we have our fixed mount line.
Now the handhelds, those are the affordable units that people can get into this technology.
Yes, for under $150 with the Garmin 38.
Then we get into the fixed units here. Now, does this have, the rage today is this map technology.
Yes.
That's going out. Does this have a map?
Now this is the 120. That is their least expensive fixed mount GPS. It does not have the cartography available in it.
You do have a nice big screen though.
Yes, it is a nice size screen.
The wave of the future though is using these charts with your GPS, and actually that lets your vessel be shown or plotted right on the map. That's unbelievable technology.
Yes.
That's really hot.
To get into that, you'd have to go into the Garmin 130. That's the first, the smallest available in the chart plotters.
Give me a dollar. What are we looking at?
Under $700.
Okay, that's reasonable. You then get into the 210. Now a much bigger screen.
Yes, larger screen.
With the map technology, and then we chose to go with the Garmin 230. We had room on our project boat, and that's why we decided to go with this unit. This is the nicest unit that Garmin probably puts out, right?
It's their largest screen, it's the most advanced technology, and we had the room for it in your boat today.
Great.
It's a great choice.
Right now we're going to turn it back over to Nick and see how he's coming along with our VHF radio.
We went ahead and chose this area here to mount the radio because of its proximity to the helm and its ease of reaching from the driver's seat. I went ahead and installed the antenna coupler, as you know, and wired positive and negative to a fuse block and used the right fuse. Let's see if it works. Channel 66, radio check, Sailfish Marina, vessel shipshape, over.
This is the Sailfish Marina KGB 929. You're coming back loud and clear. This sounds like Nick from Shipshape.
It sure is, Tim. How you doing today?
This must be the point in the show where you guys have a look at the new boat.
And it is. Why don't we have a look at it together?
It was Sea Ray's 370 sedan bridge that caught my eye this week. This boat heads up the company's line of sport yachts. It's driven from this spacious flybridge. An adjustable captain's chair puts you at the helm of an advanced control station. My first thoughts were of open water and deep sea fishing. This boat's deep forefront and variable degree dead rise lended to its superior trolling stability. Standing in the cockpit, I noticed no exhaust fumes or spray. Cruising speed was a comfortable 25 knots according to the standard Raytheon GPS. Mercruiser's new multi-port fuel injection shine throughout the RPM range with smooth acceleration and rapid fire starts.
I've owned a lot of boats in my life, including 5 Sea Rays. I currently own 3, including this 37. And the things that stand out to me about Sea Ray is, first of all, their quality, reliability, value, and durability. When you've been in the rough stuff, that's when you really need a boat you can trust, and you can trust a Sea Ray.
With more than 50 models ranging from 14 to 65 feet, Sea Ray is the world's largest manufacturer of quality pleasure boats. All Sea Ray boats are designed to be used in every sense of the word. That is real obvious here on this 370 sedan bridge. Particular attention to each and every element that contributes to a safe and pleasant trip aboard a Sea Ray. Manufacturing facilities in Merritt Island and Palm Coast, Florida have each been certified along with the other 4 facilities. Sea Ray is the only recreational boat company to receive the most stringent evaluation in the boating world, ISO 9002 from the International Organization of Standards.
The reason the Sea Ray's resale value is so high is the incredible amount of workmanship that goes into every Sea Ray. We're Brevard Boat Sales. We've been a Sea Ray dealer for 3 years now. And we're very excited to be the Sea Ray dealer. We do a lot of fun things with our customers. We have the Getaways programs where we do trips with our customers. We're going to the Bahamas this summer. It's just a lot of fun. Can't beat owning a Sea Ray.
What really sells this boat is its interior. A gigantic salon filled with luxury. Ice maker, AM/FM cassette with CD player, TV and VCR, and a luxurious galley. What I liked about it was the large countertops and spacious cabinets, a molded-in sink and built-in coffee maker. The oversized refrigerator and 3-burner stove make this boat ideal for entertaining. The master stateroom with full-size bed gives total privacy. Closet space is in abundance. The large head is accessible from either stateroom. This boat comfortably sleeps 6.
I got to tell you, we made a fantastic buy on this boat. Normally it's about a $260,000 boat, and this boat can be bought for around $200,000. And we're talking about a loaded boat. With the cockpit layout, it's great for fishing. It's got a huge cabin, nice sleeping accommodations, and with the flybridge, it's just real easy to drive a boat like this. We've really got a great deal here.
It's impressive to find such refined performance and luxury in such a small motor yacht. Reporting for Shipshape TV, I'm Elizabeth Saunders.
Welcome back. Tell you what, that was definitely a hot boat. Hope you enjoyed it. We're going to mount our Garmin GPS Map 230, and you want to take a minute and really think about where you're going to mount this unit. Because of the charts and the ease of use of this thing, you're going to find that when you go to a chart machine, you're going to use this more than you ever imagined because navigation is now a snap. So you want it in an area in which you can see it, that you're not going to have a hard time reaching it, and it's in your line of sight. And I say that because I've done a lot of trips, and I found that if you mount the unit off to one side or the other, you're constantly looking back and forth, and you get a crick in your neck. It's a big pain in the neck. So I've chosen this area here, right in front of the driver. You can watch where you're going, straight line of sight, and look up, and you can still reach the buttons. I'm going to mount this unit and then start to wire it and figure out where we're going to put the antenna. While I'm doing that, John's going to go back with Ed and talk about fish finders, and that's going to pretty much round up our 3 most important pieces that almost all boats need, and that's our navigation, which is our GPS, our VHF, and then our fish finder.
Thanks, Nick. We want to take a second here and we want to explain some of the different fish finders that are out on the market. And Ed, we have a nice display set up here. Can you go through it with us?
Yes. The Humminbird Wide 100 is an inexpensive unit. It's under $100. It's an LCD screen, and you can get readings to about 150 feet in salt water.
Okay. Then we have the Apelco. What's this machine all about?
That's the Apelco 265. You're going to get a little bit more depth reading, down to about 250 feet, and it's still under $200 for that unit.
We're then going to step up to the Furuno. Now this is an incredible LCD screen.
Yes.
Very good in the sunlight. I've heard a lot about this machine. Tell me about it.
Yeah, that machine is under $400. It is a 300-watt machine. You can get readings down to about 1,000 feet, and it's an ideal unit for an open boat in full sunlight conditions.
You can also interface this piece of electronics with your GPS, and the reason you might want to do that is, say for example, you do get a hit, you can actually mark an underwater waypoint with this. Is that correct?
Yes. When you mark a fish on your screen, you can hit an event key and it will store that location, so you can navigate back to it in case you didn't catch them the first time.
That is so incredible. These machines are for direct sunlight. We happen to have a hardtop on our Stamets project boat, and we're going with a color machine. Tell us about this one.
Yes, that's Furuno 667. It's a 6-inch machine, screen size, and you'll get good readings down to about 1,000 feet. That also has the nav screen to where you can interface with your GPS and display your nav equipment on it.
Fantastic. Well, right now we need to go to break, but stick around because when we come back, we're going to show you how to mount our Furuno fish finder as well as how to interface our different electronic components. Stay with us.
Here's what's coming up next on Shipshape TV.
And now, back to the project.
Welcome back to the show.
Don't neglect your non-skid fiberglass because it's too hard to wax. Waxing and protecting molded-in non-skid has never been faster and easier thanks to Sure-Hol's soft dual-action polisher brush head and pro polish. This winning combination will quickly seal and protect your textured fiberglass. Now every square inch of your boat can be detailed like a pro. Whether you are waxing non-skid, cleaning carpets, or scrubbing teak, Sure-Hold has the perfect polisher brush head for every task. 3 brushes, 1 amazing polisher. Another answer from Sure-Hold Industries' clean and simple solutions for detailing all your toys.
This is the antenna for the GPS unit, and Nick, why don't you give everybody a heads up of how we installed this?
Well, John, we wanted to give the antenna a full 360-degree view, so we chose to put it up here on the hardtop so we didn't have to worry about any obstructions and make sure we got all of our satellites. And this particular unit will read 12, so we want to give it the capability of seeing all 12 at once. We were fortunate we were able to go straight down to right behind the unit where we mounted it underneath and pop right out with the antenna, and we ran our antenna wire right through this hollow tube, so it's a nice clean installation.
What about the unit itself? What did you do with the wires?
Wasn't too bad. I went ahead and mounted the unit on the hardtop where we marked it, and then I passed some wires down along the front of the windshield and down into the cabin area. Once I was in there, I had a rigging trough or a wiring trough. I was able to pull my wires down and attach them to my fuse block.
Well, right now we're going to show you how to mount the transducer for the fish finder. Come on down and we'll show you how to do that. We selected this area of the transom to mount our transom mount transducer. And Nick, why did we do that?
John, we wanted to give this transducer a good window, and we wanted to keep it away from the footprints of the engine. So we have got one engine here and one engine here, and we've got trim tabs mounted on the outside, so we couldn't really go outside. Actually, it's closest to the center of the boat you can get your best reading also.
Well, we had to stay away from the center here because this is where our drain plug is going to be.
That's true as well. So we went off a little bit to this side.
Now there's also, there are different types of transducers that you can mount on your boat. This is a through-hull transducer, and whenever you mount one of these, expect to spend about $100 more.
We'll set this in place with the 3 screws, and we want the transducer to stick out below the bottom of the boat about 3/8 of an inch, up to a 1/2 inch. You're about pushing it, depending on the type of boat you have, and we just made out with the amount of room we have here.
Absolutely.
I ran the transducer cable from the bottom of the engine bracket up to the engine, and then passed it through along with the other wires that it takes to run the engine from the transom, and I ran it down along the port side here, and we're going to drop it right in on top of the dash here. Now I've got a couple more wires to hook up, and we've got to figure out exactly where and how we're going to mount this color fish finder. We're about out of space on the driver's side, so here on the passenger side, it looks like our best bet would be to put it right about here, angle it over towards the driver so the driver can still see it. At the same time, the passenger or other people in the boat can watch the machine as well. We've got the transducer and then a power wire. That's simple, positive and negative. And then we've got an interface cable. Now I'm going to run this power and this interface cable down along in front of the windshield and underneath the rigging trough that we used for the GPS also. And I'm going to bring this over to the wire from the GPS, and we're going to take a NEMA format, which is a format which transmits electronic data from the GPS here into the fish finder, and we're going to make this interface connection. I'm going to do that down inside the cabin here. Why don't you come along and we'll splice that back and make the connection. Okay, we have the wires pulled through here into this rigging trough, and I've pulled them down. And this is the interface cable from the Furuno machine. I've got a yellow and a green according to the instructions, which are my positive and negative for the NEMA. And then I have the wires coming out of the GPS, which I have the blue wire according to the instructions, and please check the instructions because every machine's different. And this is the positive for my NEMA coming out of the GPS. So I'm going to take the blue, which is positive, and hook it to the yellow, which is positive, on the data cable. And what I'll do is I'll twist them together, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to solder them. I like to solder these small wires, especially the interface wires. They're real sensitive. Get a good connection, and then heat shrink it up afterwards. And then I'm going to take the green, which is the ground, and I'm going to hook that in along with the chassis ground, or the ground coming right out of the machine itself, and I'll make a connection here. Since that's a bigger wire, I'm going to go ahead and use a shrinkable crimp there. We'll get all that shrunk up and crimped on, and we'll go out and we'll fire this thing up. We'll turn on this fish finder. We'll see if everything works, and we should have some data come up on the corner of the screen here, which we do. Right now we need to take a quick break. Don't go away. When we come back, we're going to show you the charts and this fish finder all working. Stay with us.
ShipShape TV will be right back.
We now return to ShipShape TV.
Welcome back to the show. It took us about 4 hours to hook up our three vital electronic components. And again, that's the VHS radio, the GPS, and the fish finder. Now, I want to thank Tony Proper from Garmin International. Tony sent us this 230 unit, as well as a Palm Beach chart. And this technology isn't available at the stores yet, but very soon it's going to be released. You can go to your favorite Boaters World, pick it up. This is incredible detail, Nick. Tell us some of the features.
Well, John, we have here the chart of Palm Beach. This is the Intercoastal Waterway. And right here is marked Seminole Boatyard, where we're at. There's the boat facing the direction we're facing, on land, right where we're sitting. Just the features of this thing, we can go on and on with what's in here. Really good stuff. Mainly, I think, screen size is what separates this 230 from most of the other units out there.
Fantastic. Well, we're about out of time. So, guys, until next week, keep your boat ship shape. Nick, I think the coolest thing about